Hello everybody, my name is Gonja and welcome to this special episode of Bloke 2 The Fall of Microsoft. This whole episode is going to be about reading Nicholas' travels, and I'm going to go from this book all the way to that book, so this is going to be a lot of reading, and many stuff is going to be revealed because there are some unexplained things like the dark place. So let us read. Nick's Time Travels, Chapter 1, The Past. Read. I began my journey through time from past to future equipped with my cloak of invincibility that I discovered on a previous travel. It helped greatly up to that point and worked wonders to hide me from the hostile dinosaurs I became across in 65 million BC. I stayed in a nice quiet village for a time where there was an odd girl named Ayla. Oh, she was certainly a lively one. I'd apparently arrived just in time for a festival. Curious as to what they were celebrating, I attempted to communicate and find out. It was then that I heard of a virus bloke for the first time, a traveler from far away who came to save the world. After enjoying the festivities, or at least what festivities such as primitive people could have, I continued through time. My next stop was the Ice Age of 20,000 BC. And this was not a pleasurable visit. I came across a village that had some strangely modern buildings in it, and there were signs of recent use, but no more than that. I was quickly convinced that I had no reason or desire to stick around this time period for any longer, so I continued. I decided to jump ahead quite a bit to when I was sure there would be something interesting going on. I arrived in some time between 1600 to 1700, and after a few minutes of walking to a nearby village I started to feel dizzy. I was sure I could hear a voice hypnotizing as it droned on and on through my brain. But shortly afterward it became to a sudden stop. I felt a lot better, and the village fog also seemed to change for the better. I stayed at the inn for the night and decided to climb the nearby mountain in the morning. I was sure the source of the voice that I heard was coming from the top. When reaching the top, all I could find was a microphone on the stand. Another strangely modern find, mysterious. The past was filled with curiosities, making me more determined than ever before to keep up my travels and learn more. End of Chapter 1. Ooh, more. Nick's Time Travels, Chapter 2, The Present-ish. Gosh, it's a thick book. I expect a lot. Yeah. After my various experiences in the past, I was excited to learn about more recent and present times. So my first stop was 1974, the time of disco, dude. I visited England and saw cool new styles. Disco music was everywhere. Everybody was happy and dancing the days away, but one club in particular caught my interest. The club was owned by a young hippie man named Roger Handyside. He was gaining fame across the world for his amazing dance moves, but something seemed suspicious, so I traveled around town to ask various questions about Roger. For a while I was just getting the same answers. All anybody said was Roger is our master, Roger is the dude, and similar things. But suddenly everybody else that I asked seemed to have no idea who Roger or Andy Handyside was. I returned to the club seeking an audience with Roger, but again nobody knew who he was. What happened to in my absence? In 1998, I was surrounded by chaos. People on the streets running and screaming, explosions in the distance, homes broken into. I questioned some of the hiding citizens who, while trembling in fear, told me of a large lady who was terrorizing the country, Lynn Baden. She started her attack by anonymously sending envelopes filled with extremely deadly methane gases that she produced from her butt, and once the town was in panic, she began an assault on the people with her large posterior. But when we finished talking, the noise suddenly quieted. I stepped back outside, and everybody was starting to cheer about the defeat of Lynn, and something about some teenage heroes. If I were to make a guess, I would say the world-renowned Bloke was to thank for this. My final destination for present times was the year 2002, an iconic year when some great food recipes came into creation. One in particular that I had heard was created around this time was the cheese and apple. But at the town, I was being told that it was being created in now different from history books in the future. Apparently, a man named John Gibbs, a master chef, was making this epic meal that today is known to save lives and cure many diseases. A meal that is known to have actually been created by a postmark. Eventually, John Gibbs had large guards who would not grant me permission to speak with him, so I was unable to find out the truth. Since creation of the meal took so long, I decided to leave and continue my travel through time into the future. End of chapter 2. A future, a scary uncharted place. I made sure to be very careful, taking all precautions I could think of. Not knowing what to expect, I jumped into the year 2020. A beautiful year. Most of England was covered in flowers. At least that was what I thought at first. Upon further examination, the flowers were alive. I trod carefully and in the distance witnessed an elderly man, suggesting various forms of wildlife, such as leaves and vines. He was tending to the plants, feeding them and what looked like meat and live animals. I decided I should probably leave. I had seen enough anyway. I only hoped the future would not be overrun by these living plants. Just to be safe, I jumped ahead quite a long way, and luckily there did not seem to be any plant disasters. No, there was now a different type of disaster, the complete opposite to nature. There were now some form of shape-changing metal robots being mass-produced, as they were apparently a new and popular thing, but they were all malfunctioning and causing mayhem. The future truly is a scary place, but perhaps I'm just arriving at the wrong times. Soon after I arrived, the disaster seemed to calm down suddenly. I saw a broadcast on floating holographic screens telling that some unknown genius fixed every robot simultaneously. It's strange how problems keep getting fixed while I am around. Perhaps my presence fixed all world problems, or perhaps it is this virus bug that I have heard so much about. For my final stop, I decided to just go crazy and jumped all the way ahead to the year 999,999. Yes, I bothered to read that. There certainly was not much to see, but the most interesting change was that space was now inhabitable and full of oxygen. Unfortunately, I could not find any intelligent life forms with which I could communicate and question. The only living being that I found was what seemed to be a higher form of human life and spoke in the German language. Due to my inability to speak German, I was unable to get any information from him, and so we parted ways. He seemed to be heading towards the planet Neptune, and as a random conversation I noticed there was no sign of the planet Pluto. It should have been nearby at this time. Perhaps it was destroyed at some time over the hundreds of thousands of years. Anything could happen in such a time span. But either way, I decided I had seen enough of the future for now, and it was time for me to return home to do more research. End of chapter 3. Whoa, that is... Okay, now for the places. Japan. Next travels Japan. So much reading, skip to the important parts. The Bloke Saga, chapter 1. This is the first chapter in the series of books that I plan to write. They follow the journey of poor smart Bloke as I follow in his footsteps and write my discoveries. Japan is a large, busy place. The Bloke showed me a large city with extremely shiny buildings. The crowds of people and traffic were of a size you would not believe unless you saw them with your own eyes. The tour of this city had been the home to a giant crocodile, but I can only assume the Bloke chased it away. The only building of interest that could be freely entered was one owned by a company called Square Enix. Though it seems this was not their main building, as it was deserted and not locked. The Bloke had been in this building and stopped an evil plot to bring programs, specifically video game characters, to life. Upon deeper inspection, it seems this experiment was funded by Microsoft in order to help in a rivalry. No more details given. So that's what's going on. Maybe Bill planned to send me to some of these places. Yeah. Click. Chapter 2. It's a good job I take lots of varied equipment and things with me on my travels, including nose filters. This place smelled odd. From the top of this cliff, I tracked the smell down to a deep dark cave down the side of the cliff. Another handy piece of equipment is my night vision goggles, which helped me to see in the total darkness of the cave. The source of the smell was a large open cave at the end of the path, which was lit up by many torches. One of the Bloke's fans had been here hunting for some treasures and had disturbed the inhabitant of this cave. The smell was apparently even worse before the Bloke won this battle, and I thought it was bad now. I guess Microsoft had nothing to do with this one. At least it got me involved. It's like they want you to have more party members. Yeah, I don't get it. Maybe some portals didn't go where Bill planned. Maybe the sock master. Village food. Chapter 3. I spent far too long here, but understandably so. Who wouldn't want to stay a while in a literally edible village? Yeah. I was welcomed into one of the bread houses by a friendly host who offered me a free serving of a famous meal. It was certainly delicious. I inquired about the portal, and the host told me she didn't know where it came from. But since it opened, more people had visited and ended up eating too much and getting fat, making them unable to fit back through. Those people became permanent residents of the village, but at least they were happy. I bet Bill planned for me to get so fat that I would be unable to interfere. Oh, Training Star. Chapter 4. The Training Star Guns is a secret place for people to sell their wares. Where it comes to who owns the desks, it is first come, first served. Pizza Pie Software own 4 of the desks, but now that I also have a desk here and have permission to sell my books, that makes 5. This place is hard to find as it is at the side of a long road in the middle of nowhere and is hidden by surrounding hills and mountains. As hard to find as it is, it still gets a high number of visitors. I suppose word gets around to progressively more people. Luckily, I can come and go with ease by means of a portable porthole device given by the owner of Pizza Pie Software. But portals are otherwise off limits unless one holds a valid ID, a Training Star license, or a Training Star guest pass. I bet Bill didn't foresee the security we had on porthole travel to the Training Star. Try and sneak into our places, will ya? Racetrack. Chapter 5. On Earth, motorbike racing is a big and popular sport. It's noisy but a lot of fun to watch, and also a lot of fun to take part in. The champion stands as Paul Smart the voice himself, having won a race against all of the races taken part. Some of the motorbikers allowed me some time to talk. They told me of some people in suits coming in search of people with engineering and mechanic skills. They didn't know specifically what for, but they seemed to have big plans. Probably Microsoft looking for people to help build the marvelous Blastmaster 2000. Oh my god. Shulker Dungeon. Chapter 6. Through all of my travels, I'm still surprised by some of the strange places I visit. Who would ever expect a dungeon full of seemingly alive shortcakes, biscuits? I met with a young girl who somehow emerged from the wall, and she told me she was a shortcake master. I was permitted a taste of one of the shortcakes, and it was certainly one of the tastiest things I've ever experienced. She was hesitant to trust me at first, however. She explained how some men came some time ago trying to steal the shortcakes. Luckily, the shortcake guardian, Sir Panties, protected them and made the man leave. There's a mistake there. Yeah. He was the guardian of the shortcakes. It was probably a bad idea to beat him and make him leave then. I guess it's a good thing we didn't earlier though. Those men probably from Microsoft would have made off with some shortcakes. Mark's room. Chapter 7. This is the bedroom of Mark in his house somewhere in the United Kingdom, the same country as Paul and his other friends. I decided to wear my invincibility cloak so as not to cause panic in Mark's family if they were to see this unknown man. The neighborhood seemed like a nice peaceful place, and Mark's house was very neat and tidy. There were also a lot of interesting looking books in Mark's room. I was given permission to borrow and read them, and was able to learn a lot about Earth and various other interesting things. It seems Mark is somebody I could get along with and learn a lot from. We seem to share the interest in learning. The Microsoft were trying to recruit Mark but couldn't get his attention. Loud music saves the day. It would be bad if Mark was on their side. So that was their plan. Plonker House. So much reading. Oh yeah. Chapter 8. This house was the strangest house I've ever seen. Inhabited by people known as plonkers, this house is like a hotel, free for all plonkers to stay in at any time. It seems like a peaceful place, except for the constant repeating of the same tune over the speakers throughout the house. The tune seems to have a bad effect on any non-plonker mind, making them need to leave the place as soon as possible. Luckily, I have an enchanted headband that protected me to an extent, but I had to explore in small doses just to be safe. I managed to get some information from a plonker about some people who visited, trying to find the source of the music and steal it from them. But they were unable to find it and left before the music drove them insane. I guess Bill was planning to use the music as a weapon. Ha! Obviously they have stronger minds than Microsoft people. Club. Chapter 9. A fairly normal place, seemingly meant for chilling, as a group of visitors said. Whatever that means, it was certainly a fun atmosphere, or a fun place. A man tending the bar told me of a group of men in suits who came in one time through the portal, no less. They showed an interest in their dance master, Roger Handyside. Roger apparently was not interested in the business life and just wanted to stay where he belonged, around music and heavy bass. Roger has never been a truly bad guy. Luckily, he's now a good guy. Yeah. Dark Place. Chapter 10. I managed to enhance my night vision goggles to a setting that allowed me to see through the unusual darkness here. What I saw was horrific. Putting it into words is not something a sane mind, such as mine, could ever accomplish. The Vosbo and his friends are lucky that they were unable to see, else they may not have had the stomach to continue. Besides the hellish environment of this place, I was able to communicate with one of the inhabitants of the darkness. The eyes of my goggle were the only things that they could see, which I suppose is why I was not attacked on sight. They would assume I was one of them, as they, too, only show their glowing eyes to anybody who stumbles into their home. They are a race called the Tyrax. The one I communicated with told me of the numerous visitors that they had to scare away since the portal appeared. Some of the more hostile Tyrax captured and devoured some of the more unfortunate visitors, but most fled in an instant. Devoured? Good job, we're far too skilled to be caught and eaten. Also good job that Microsoft employees are wimps and didn't make friends, and some of them getting eaten means less for us to deal with. I wonder how the environment looks like. Blood over the walls, must be something worse. Theodore Theater. Chapter 11. Luckily I visited this theater as the performance was about to begin. Entry was free, so I quickly took a seat to watch the show. It was well choreographed play about a group of friends fighting against an evil shadow creature that manipulated people's minds. After the 2-hour-long performance, I asked about the play and learned that it was based on an event that happened in this very theater. 3 friends saved the theater from a spirit that haunted the place, almost ruining the opening performance. Anybody who looked upon this shadow spirit was the thing that they currently most desired, luring in its victims. But the team of friends saw through its trickery, bringing out the spirit's true form and defeating it in front of the audience. Microsoft must have tried to get their hands on that shadow. It would probably be pretty effective, making us see things in battle. You need to change the name. It must be Dark Street, not Dark Wallingford. That's kinda a thing that you must change. I don't know if Wallingford is a name of your street or something. The Bloke Saga, Chapter 12. This place is filled with an extremely evil feeling. I wore my invisibility cloak so as not to attract any unwanted attention. This place seems almost identical to the street that the Bloke lives on, except everything is different in some way. There was a lot of metal, chain link, and rusty, but perhaps the most disturbing things I encountered were the organic structures outside. They seemed to be made of soft, squishy materials, and inside each one I could see a human body. In fact, the bodies I saw were those of the people living on the normal street in the real world. Using a device that I created, I detected the bodies were still alive. Maybe they were in status? Even the Microsoft building was present, but very different inside. There were experiment chambers and lots of unusual rooms. Perhaps the bodies of the people were part of some kind of experiment going on here? Unfortunately, this is all far beyond my knowledge, but I will research deeply into this strange world. Damn, so Nick couldn't find out much about it either. But I feel like I've experienced the same vibe that the place gave me somewhere else. I guess in some other life or dimension, or I don't know. But needless to say, I certainly hope Microsoft didn't harness any powers from that place. FMR3 Horizon, Chapter 13. During my time off Earth, I have listened to these radio stations that seem to be popular. Among many stations, this was one I enjoyed, FMR3 Horizon. I had no idea what was going on when they broadcast from. As soon as I entered, I was disgusted. Spirits of the deceased and perfectly healthy animals were confined to alcoves in the sides of the hallway. Through the cage have since been opened, allowing them to wander more freely, but they still seem to be limited to the room. Deeper into the building, I discovered evidence of experiments to control nature, the weather, seasons, perhaps leading the control of time itself. A computer in their main observation chamber contained more details into their plans, and even documented the visitors from Microsoft. A group led by Bill Gates himself came to offer a large sum of money for a complete machine so that they could control time themselves. However, the logs detailing progress on the experiments were never completed before the building was seemingly abandoned. This is another job well done by the virus crew. If we hadn't stopped Horizon, Microsoft may have become unbelievably powerful. Jumpy World. Chapter 14. I struggle to think of what to say about this place, but I can say a great place for some exercise. There was a clear path between hills and small mountains, literally with holes leading into a long drop. But the holes were nothing to worry about, as the ground here was extremely bouncy. Even taking a step near one of the holes propelled me straight across it. It seems impossible to even intentionally fall down one. It's hard to say what use this place has, though. Perhaps this is just it. Exercise or just fun. After I was research, I found no information about this place. Even I was unable to discover anything else during my time here. How weird. Maybe Microsoft mistakenly opened that portal. Maybe they just wanted to take a break and have a bit of bouncing around. I don't know. Maybe they wanted the power of bouncing to, I don't know. La-di-da University. Chapter 15. One of Earth's large places of learning, seemingly a high level of learning at that. What a huge school, yet strangely devoid of students. It must have been after learning hours or a holiday. Inside the only classroom that wasn't locked, I was horrified to see many people, presumably students, sitting and repeating blah blah blah. In fact, I experienced a similar thing in a previous travel of mine. I traveled to the past and I heard a voice in my head. All I started to hear was blah blah blah. Perhaps these people suffered the same, except for a longer time, and have not yet recovered. But that was a long time ago. Could it be the same person have lived for hundreds of years, spreading the blah? Or is it a group of people passing on the blah through the centuries? Maybe someday we will know. Wait, yeah, last time we saw Leslie was like hundreds of years in the past, so how is she still alive? I guess it's possible she named the daughter Leslie too. Anyway, obviously Microsoft wanted to harness the power of the blah. Luckily we beat Leslie. Yu-Gi-Oh! Stadium. Chapter 16. Many great games are played here in this stadium, games known as the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game. Specifically, two of the most famous players of this game challenged each other, and the most famous of the two won, Yugi Muto. It is a game in which the monsters depicted on the trading cards fight against the opponent's monsters. One can also use magic and trap cards for positive and negative effects, turning the tide of battle. It is all so very exciting. I shall have to return and witness one of these battles for myself, perhaps even learn to play. But there is more behind these cards, a great dark secret. I shall have to watch the animated series to learn more about it. I bet Bill thought that the Shadow Realm was real. What a Gem Treehouse, Chapter 17. It is a shame that all I found was a smoldering ruin that once was the Gem Treehouse. The fire had been going for a long time, and the damage left almost no documents in one place, making it very hard to learn anything. When I spoke to the Weisberg about the place, he seemed to leave in a hurry, almost like he was hiding something about the place. In fact, I could sense the effects of some kind of virus powers inside the house, so perhaps he had something to do with it. But the one thing I did find out for sure was that the family who lived there were to join the side of Microsoft, so that makes sense. They were an enemy of the Weisberg and piece of that. Yeah, those who would join Microsoft must be dealt with. Nick's Hell, Chapter 18. So hell is a real place, or if not, this was very convincingly decorated with even more convincing actors. Luckily, I always come prepared this time with protection against heat and death. The only place I was able to visit that was not separated by love was some kind of hotel run by very stereotypical reapers. I was able to speak to some of the poor souls who lived there, but all they would say was about how they died, not pleasant. I also stayed in a hotel room for the sake of research, and the beds were surprisingly comfortable. I've never known a stone slab to be so nice to rest on, especially with chains hanging above me and the sounds of screaming all around. Nick can sleep under very strange circumstances. Anyway, I guess Bill wanted to use the powers of hell in some way. Certainly sounds dangerous if he were to do so somehow. Reset by software. Additional editing anonymous. It's the thickest book I've seen. There are parts we just have too much to write about. It's all interesting, of course, but I don't have all day, so I won't read it all. Hold up. Sorry, I'm back. Chapter 19. Pizza Pie Software, an amazing company that makes many great things, most of which the world has never seen the likes of before, except in movies. Anything and everything from invisible cookies to super fast hoverboards to pies that taste like any flavor the eater desires at the time they bite into it. Oh, I must be Pizza Pie. Piece of Pie Software have created countless unique products. Even if you have no intention to shop, simply looking through their creation can be an amazing experience. Not only that, but being an employee, I can say without a doubt that I can not imagine a company that would be more fun to work for. To anybody reading this, I strongly recommend Piece of Pie Software, and not because I'm being paid to advertise the company. It's true, he's not. But the rest of the book seems to go on about various creations in detail. I of course know all I need to know about all of that. It's obvious why Microsoft opened a portal to POPs. Little did they know we have a better defense. It stops any unauthorized person from teleporting to us. Ooh. Warbland. So much reading. Okay. Chapter 20. I was almost tempted to skip writing a book on Warbland. Never have I experienced an amusement park that has so little in it to amuse. It is dirty, run down, smells like bad body odor and urine, has discolored water, mold on the walls. I could go on. This place was owned by a young man called Robert, or also known as Robert or Rob by everybody who knew him. This is because of his Rotakism, making his pronunciation of the letter R sound like a W. People may call this offensive or bully him, but he was the kind of person who deserved to be made fun of, as he did it to everybody else. Wop seemed to have long since departed his amusement park. Perhaps he had run out of funds or realized how bad his park was. Either way, the unsuspecting public are free from the waste of money that is Swapland. I'm glad we didn't pay to get in, thanks to Microsoft's portal into it. Gotta wonder why they would open a portal to Wobland though. Maybe the mod in Wob's Park was so bad that it could be used as a biological weapon. Oh, good thinking. Junkyard. Yeah. Chapter 21. As stinky and dirty as this place was, it was the home to the gibberish man. He seemed to be perfectly happy with the nickname Jib. A great man with a wealth of knowledge, perhaps even more than I have. I learned a great many things from Jib. Things about the past, the future, and current events that were going on at the very moment we spoke. It is a mystery to me as to why he chooses to remain living in a junkyard. I can think of many far better places to reside. Why he lives there is my one question that he refused to answer. Perhaps it is because nobody would think to look there for him. At least that would be my best guess. Good point. I wonder why he does live in a junkyard. Good old Jib, what a helpful dude he was. He'd never side with Bill and his lackeys. Painting room. Chapter 22. The painter I met here was a great man with one of the most unique painting styles I have ever seen. Such mesmerizing images. He perfectly captures the beautiful figure of Earth females, yet in a cartoonish manner. He seemed to use special types of brushes and paints, though I do not think they were magical or unusual in any way. It is strange, I feel like I could say so much about his art, and yet cannot think of many words I can write about it. It sounds like a good point to stop reading then. It's not that I don't like art, it's just I'm too lazy to read about it. Anyway, if I were to guess why Bill was interested, I'd say he was going to use so nice looking pictures of females as distractions. Ho ho! Gamesville. 23. I visited the studio of a British television show called Gamesville, a show about video games for consoles and personal computers. Oh! I was lucky enough to be around at the time when the crew of this show came in to film an episode. They allowed me to watch from a back room and enjoy some very delicious hot beverages. I learned a lot about these video games while watching and would like to experience playing some of the games that I saw on their show. One game series in particular caught my eye called Final Fantasy. Luckily, here at Vista by Software there are many game consoles that can be freely used by employees such as me, so I shall check it out sometime. Excellent choice, Nick. Good old Final Fantasy. But probably wanted to hijack their show to broadcast subliminal messages to the world. That, or they just like video games too, which I guess they do really, so I don't know. Doc. Chapter 24. There is little to say about the dog itself, but I learned from some local pubgoers that a world-famous pirate shop docked here often. One day, a great journey happened, departing from this very point, journey to hunt a monster of the seas, the Kraken. There are rumors that a group of young travelers joined and helped the pirates to defeat this Kraken, but the pirates insist otherwise. I, of course, know the truth, so let the rumors be laid to rest. It was the Bloke and his friends that helped the pirates. Better believe him, but what I can't believe is that the captain would lie. Then again, what would be expected of a pirate? I wonder what possible use Bill could have had by opening a portal here. Maybe he thought he'd try to recruit pirates for some strange reason. Lighthouse. Chapter 25. There was nothing special or unique about this particular lighthouse compared to any other lighthouse. As with all lighthouses, it was near the ocean and was intended to guide ships to shore. The only trouble was that the light at the top seemed to be missing. Perhaps it was no longer in use, which would explain the general disrepair of the floors inside. Outside the lighthouse was a beautiful forest, though it was home to some rather hostile birds and other creatures. Strangely, the path through the forest led to the town with the dogs mentioned in the previous chapter. I magically figured it out. Bill first tried a portal near the town, but ended up in the lighthouse, which was locked. So he then made another portal which led to the dock. That explains why there are two portals close to each other. I'm so skilled. Chocobo Village. Chapter 26. This was a very unexpected place to come across, a small village run by large birds. They were unable to speak any language that I understood, so they shared an amazing piece of technology with me. It made me able to understand them and translate anything I said into their own language. When I first entered this village, they were all in hiding. But they soon invited me in and explained their reasons of hiding. They had never been found before in their hidden village in this large, dense forest until the portal nearby appeared. They were mistreated by the ones who came through. Some were even killed as they searched through their village. Since then, they have hidden from any unexpected visitors who wandered in and imprisoned them if they do not reveal a friendly nature. Those evil Microsoft people. How dare they hurt the cute things that are chocobos? Oh my god. Half-world. So much reading. Yeah. Chapter 27. Yeah. This is a very tough place to write about. I do not even know where to begin with this, but here I go. The moment I stepped in, I thought to myself, I sure am lucky that I wore my special beaver mask today, that seemed to be in space. However, this was not the case, at least. I did not have the usual effect of space. I could survive it for some strange reason, but that is only the beginning of the strangeness of this place. There were many odd-shaped islands floating around with equally odd methods of travel between them. This really is the kind of place that one must see for oneself to fully appreciate just how random it is. Tell me about it. What possibly use could Bill have for opening a portal to that weird place? Then again, considering how much random nonsense we have found in Half-World, it would be worth exploring for anything helpful that might randomly be floating around. Makes me wonder if they found something before we went there. Musician. Chapter 28. This place gave me an amazing experience. I met the world-known Roger Hannisound as written of in at least one earlier book. The dance master now turned into a music master, practicing, teaching, and always learning in the ways of music. In his previous experiences with music were solely for the sake of getting fans and followers, a selfish cause, some might say. But now he has changed his ways. His music now helps all. Some of his music soothes, some cheers people up, and some is just plain funky. A truly worthy case to put his amazing talents to words. Hey Roger, what it do? So first Bill opens up a portal to the club where Roger danced. Then he opened one to Roger's very home. Leave the guy alone, Bill. Mark's face. Chapter 29. A anxious place to explore, but well worth the information I obtained from the computers of the base. The computers detailed experiments in teleportation. The documents ranged many years back from the very beginnings of the experimentation. It also contained unfortunate details on failed experiments of human teleportation, resulting in the body not entirely reaching the other end. Most of the final logs were relating to the alien infestation throughout the base, apparently caused by a strange dig site under the base. There were also signs of recent access to the systems prior to the Bloke's exploration of the base. However, it was attempted to hack past security to access the private documents on the teleportation technology. I guess Bill hadn't had enough teleportation technology when he stole my portals. Pops vs. Microsoft. Chapter 30. As a temporary member of Pizza Pie Software, I have witnessed the rapid growth of the company. The Bloke himself and his friends have been working hard to recruit new members in preparations for a war against a rival company, the one and only Microsoft. But this war is not at all uncalled for. Microsoft, or at least the owner Bill Gates, has been threatening and stealing from pubs for many years, the main recent events being the theft of a dangerous weapon and the incursion of a building on Wall Street. Now, after much hard work, pubs are ready to fight back, and I should deserve observe the best I can. Done, stream already. Okay, and that's all of the Nicholas traveling. We have finally knew the reason why these portholes were opened. So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in next time. Bye.